a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast, as we are back to being a dynamic duo today, as Long has gone on to the Magic Mystery Tour and disappeared again.
Yes.
It's the long way over the last year. He comes and he goes, like Pee Wee Herman in the Playhouse, you know. And, I don't know. But no, you know, he'll be back. He'll be back. He just chose to take at least this week off. And he's on a week by week basis, man. You know, man, don't you wish sometimes you could do your real job like that? Oh, I don't feel like working this week, but you're going to pay me, bitch.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be there, but I will happily collect my check.
That's right. But it's all good, man. So you know, we ran duos for quite a while, and we did okay. And I think we can handle it, right, Matt? We're up for the challenge.
We've got this.
Man, it's a week. I'm a little tired from the week, but I'm not so tired that I'm yawning like Matt's already doing over there. But
yeah,
but Matt, yeah. But to be fair, for people who don't know, Matt kind of has a bit of a chaotic work schedule at times. So I think it's fair not to judge him too harshly, you know. But we'll pick on him a little bit, you know, if he starts yawning during the shows. We always
everything's fair game.
That's right, man. I mean, it wouldn't be the Rebel Radio Podcast if we didn't bust each other's balls over the years. I mean, hell, we bust Frank's balls, and he hasn't been on the show he did come on for the 300th episode or something, but he hadn't been on that before then for 200 episodes, and we still bust his balls. So, dude, the way it's going to be. So, you know, and
whether you're here, you're not, you're retired, you're semi-retired, you're on a hiatus, we're still going to get you.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. You know, there's equal ball busting opportunities on the Rebel Radio Podcast.
Yes. We bust balls equal in the spirit of equality with today's episode. We do bust each other's balls equally.
That's true. I mean, you know, and but how are you this week, man? Good.
Yeah, good, man. You know, past week caught a bunch of fish. You know, and I've never filleted a fish.
I've got to laugh at you a little bit of this, folks. All right, let me paint a little picture, folks. Okay, we live in people know we podcast from Houston, Texas, and regardless of what people think, Texas is not a bunch of cowboy hats and cowboy boots. We all live in farms and countries. We do live in cities, okay, but yet I did grow up very countryfied. My great grandparents lived out in the country, and I still go to the country with some family friends quite a bit. I grew up fishing and not so much hunting and stuff. I grew up fishing a lot around cows and pastures and things like that. So as much as I'm cityfied, I can also fit quite well into the country. I know how to fish. I'm not a big fan of touching the fish and stuff. I've never liked that because I don't like slimy things. But if I had to, I could fillet a fish and things like that. And so I'm a lot more countryfied than people think. Where Matt, my good friend, is very cityfied. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah,
he hasn't had as many country experiences. So and it's fine that he went fishing. I'm glad he did, and I know he enjoyed himself. So I'm laughing because me and Matt share each other's Amazon account, and to be clear, I share Matt's Amazon, and I'm laughing at Matt's going a little bit of fishing buying some fishing stuff, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, it's like when you get your first taste of I don't know. I don't want to be disgusting here and say pussy, but something like just something you enjoy. Okay, we'll just say that. And you go, I'm going to go do all this. So I'm just laughing at like Matt's buying fishing backpacks and fishing gear and all this, and it's cool. It's cool, man. I'm like, but I have to bust you a little bit. I'm just laughing. This old shitty boy here buying his country stuff, and but it's cool, man. But go on, tell us. I mean, it looked like you had a good time.
Yeah, no, we did. We caught a good amount of catfish. And my uncle, of course, you've worked with my family, Mark. A lot of them are butchers, meat cutters. And my uncle, anytime we went fishing, which is for the most part, one of my uncles was always involved. They were always like, oh, I got this. I'm going to fillet the fish. And I never had to fillet a fish because my uncle was always there and would do it. But this time we were kind of strapped for time at the end of the day. And he's like, oh, you can just, take them home, fillet them, and I was like, man, I don't think I've ever done this before. So I had
That's
to
the easy part. What I don't like about is when you catch the fish is like I like if I don't have gloves and you're trying to get the needle out or the hook out of
Oh
that,
yeah.
I don't like that part. I can clean a fish and kill it, whatever, but the rest of it's not very much fun.
Yeah, because it's like, especially with catfish, I just, I'm
Sucks.
particular around the barbs. I don't want to get stuck because that's, not a good feeling.
Yeah.
I've never been stuck, but I've heard stories, and
It hurts.
yeah, it hurts. If it's your hand's going to swell up and you won't be able to use it for like a week. So hopefully
that's kind of a myth. It has to be like
pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I am cautious, and I'm like you. I don't like touching them really because they slide all the time, and I can't get a grip on them. So it's like I bought those pliers because I realized I didn't have like a good set of needle nose pliers. I had a bunch of channel locks, so I'm like grabbing the damn catfish tail with the channel locks and filleting them that way. And I made some tasty fried catfish. It came out good, so. It was a success. And then
welcome everybody to the Rebel Radio Fishing Podcast.
Yeah, Rebel Fishing Podcast. Cashed out shore with us.
You ever woke up like on a early Saturday morning and you have sports radio on, but it's not sports radio. It's like the syndicated fishing shows.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you've heard that. They're talking about that
all the time. Yeah,
Rebel Radio, the lakes are good today. We're gonna go out there. Like,
Captain Mickey's, man. Captain Mickey's.
Oh yeah, Captain Mickey's.
But yeah, man. I remember having it on Texans Radio 610 all the time, or Sports Radio 610. And if I woke up a little too early and was just on my way, it'd be Captain Mickey's or Captain Benny's or something like that. And they'd be talking about lures and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, man, we tried to go out today, but we just fished on the bayous around us because if Texas is littered with a lot of bayous and creeks.
Yeah, but you don't want to eat the shit that's in those, though.
No, not really. Well, some creeks, not bayous.
Creeks, yeah, I'm saying not bayous.
Yeah, ponds, not bad, but usually those are catch and release. I just didn't have a good type of bait.
I have to get you out to Schulenburg with me one day.
Yeah, man, that'd be fun.
Fish on Dan Loretta's property. But yeah, man. But yeah, no, that's cool, man, that you did that. I mean, it wasn't your first time fishing, was it?
No, it wasn't my first time fishing, especially on my uncle's boat.
But it's an experience.
Yeah, I've definitely, growing up, I did do scouting, but I was very much a weekend warrior until we decided to do adventure camp. But
that's not the same as good old country fishing.
No, it is not. It's different. It is way different.
No, I don't think I could ever do any kind of like Arctic ice fishing or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm a Texas boy. No, I'm not doing that. I ain't freezing.
No, that ain't fun. I would rather take the heat than the cold.
Yeah. And I'm not really into hunting. I don't want to shoot an animal for no reason. That never was appealed to me. I'm fine. Hey, if people want to do it, it's fine. I appreciate you giving me some good deer meat.
Oh yeah.
I just never felt the appeal of just sitting there and just, okay, waiting and bam, in one shot, it's over. I was just like, hey, if people are into it, it's cool. I'm not against it or anything. It's just it just wasn't my thing. And
I haven't felt the want myself to go out. But if I did, I feel like I would want to hunt hog, just because they're an invasive species, and it's good to rid the population of them. But some of those can be pretty aggressive, man. You can get hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But no, it's cool, man. I'm here always for new experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I just thought it was. I'm going to use the word cute that you were buying your fishing gear off Amazon. I was like, I'm going to bust mad on this a little bit, and but it's all good.
All good. Man.
But man, so what about this Avengers cast, man? They announced the full cast for Avengers Doomsday today, and some interesting names on it, or not today, this week. Some interesting names on it, and some interesting omissions. I'm going to start with the biggest omission. That's Tom Holland. And a lot of people are rumored. The biggest rumor is that Spider-Man 4 takes place at the exact same time as Avengers Doomsday. It's almost like a parallel film that Spider-Man 4 will recognize the events that are going on in Doomsday, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man's in his own adventure. And I think that probably makes the most sense because, like, otherwise, why is Spider-Man not in the film?
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting. I think that was probably the biggest omission that I can think of, unless I'm missing one. Was Benedict Cumberbatch announced?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, no,
but
Mark Ruffalo. And that, okay. So we're going to have Mark Ruffalo placed by that god awful She-Hulk. Okay. I'm sorry. And nothing
man.
against the actress, but she's in it. So what, they couldn't get Ruffalo for it. We're going to have She-Hulk. If she starts twerking in Doomsday's lap or something, I'm going to fucking lose my shit in the theater. And you know, I'm going to try to trust the Russo brothers in this and that they know what they're doing. Because I just felt like, where's Mark Ruffalo? You know, we have Chris Hemsworth and we have the girl who plays Shuri, the new Black Panther, and we have some other. We have Anthony Mackie, the new Cap, and we have other major cast members. Like, I'm like, where's the Hulk? You know, but we get She-Hulk instead, and we get Paul Rudd back as Ant-Man. It looks like we're going to get some X-Men. James Marsden as Cyclops. We get Patrick Stewart. Looks like he's come back, and Ian McKellen. I thought those were two of the most interesting names that were involved in this because, as we know, the X-Men are now part of this through the multiverse and Deadpool. So I thought those were a couple of really interesting things. And if I'm missing stuff, help me out. What do you think about this whole cast, Matt?
Yeah, I think you've got to trust the Russo brothers. You know, having She-Hulk in there, I just hope that they listen to the reviews of that little sitcom show that they tried to do and try and, you know, make her a little bit, you know, serious. You know, it is, you know, the whole origin just kind of threw me off because it's like, you know, he got some of his blood on her and then it's like, you know, she turned into the Hulk or She-Hulk. Right. And then all of a sudden she's stronger and she can control her emotions more. And because she gets catcalled, that was her whole thing. And I'm like, you know, it's like Mark Ruffalo's character was an emotional character. He talked about suicide and wanting to blow his brains out, but he couldn't, you know, and he spat the bullet out. And, you know, so it's like he, you know, the fact of that origin, it's just, you know, it follows a trope that just kind of, you know, men have to become, women just are. And, you know, kind of like Black Panther, you know, Chadwick Boseman, we basically took a whole, a whole movie where he had to become the Black Panther. He lost his powers, was put out, and had to become one and retake the throne. And, you know, we get Black Panther 2, and, you know, maybe the hands were just tied on this one because, you know, it was such, you know, a sad, you know, thing with Chadwick Boseman passing away. But she becomes Black Panther in like the first 30 minutes. Just like, oh, I replicated the flower.
He didn't really take on the full persona really till the end of the film. But I'm willing to forgive Black Panther 2 for what it was. Like you said, its hands were tied. I think that there's an opportunity there to salvage that.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Coogler understands that, and some things I've read about his updates on Black Panther 3 that I think he knows where they have to go with it. So that I'm willing to forgive. But I think there's also some interesting omissions like Paul Bettany. Okay. I have a feeling that the Vision has to.
Oh, yeah.
We know there's a Vision Quest TV series coming, and it's apparently coming in the next year or so. So maybe Vision still plays into this. They just didn't announce his name because they want us to see the show first when the Vision Quest TV show comes.
Yeah.
You know, some names like that. A lot of the Thunderbolts cast is going to be in Doomsday. So there's some interesting names. The guy who's playing Sentry in the Thunderbolts movie is in Avengers Doomsday, which tells me that
Pullman, right?
Yeah, to me, that's a giveaway that, because as we all know, the Sentry is a misunderstood bad guy at first. He ends up being a good guy. So, you know, chances are he ends up joining the good guys by the time we get around to Doomsday. So some interesting notes, but again, I still think the biggest question is, will Marvel MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, be headed back in the right direction before Doomsday comes out. And it starts this year with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, no, someone went out there and it was a reporter or someone on social media, and they were trying to ask the question, is this an Avengers versus X-Men film? And I don't know how you
I don't think there's enough
make
evidence
that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would introduce the conflict to make that happen, but I guess, if Joss Whedon could make an Avengers versus Avenger type film, with the first film, kind of, they were at each other's throats, then maybe they could do it here. Who knows? But yeah, hopefully we get a little bit more than a teaser in the next couple months after.
Well, it just started filming the other day.
Yeah,
and I don't even think it's due till May of 2026 or 27. It's like a couple years away, isn't it?
Oh, it's 2 years away. It's not next year.
So no, I think they pushed it all back because of everything got pushed back during the strikes and all that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, it's showing May 2026. I thought it was 2 years away.
Okay.
So maybe it is next year. I would have sworn I thought that date changed. So he just started filming this week, and this movie's going to come out next year. Interesting. And we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe it was supposed to be out this year, and everything got. I don't know. I can't keep track. They change these fucking release dates all the time.
Yeah, probably. Especially Marvel. They'll release that timeline, and they're like, "Oh, actually, it's going to be another couple months."
But that was the big news this week. Avengers Doomsday cast, the full cast. I tried watching the video they put out, but that waiting almost 5 minutes between names, I was like, no, I'll just wait till it's all. And I waited till I think it was announced who it was. But yeah, man. Otherwise, so I tried watching a couple things this week. The first one, I'll be very quick. I can tell you right now, don't even try to watch Hellboy the Crooked Man.
Really?
Man, I didn't even make it 10 minutes in. It is like watching a late night Cinemax sci-fi movie or Sci-Fi Network. It's so bad. It's terrible CGI. The acting is so flat. The only cool thing in it is the Hellboy look. That's it. It is not even 10 minutes in. It's awful. And this is written by Mike Mignola. I can't believe this thing cost $40 million, because if a movie like Equilibrium can cost $20 million and look amazing, this movie costs $40 million. It's on Hulu, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a chance. I didn't even make it 10 minutes, man. I haven't even seen the David Harbour one because people said to stay away from it. Yeah. But I've now heard that the David Harbour one actually looks good compared to this. But it doesn't even have a title sequence. Even comes on, the title sequence is just like this picture of the woods. It says Hellboy the Crooked Man, like an old late night sci-fi horror schlockfest type movie. It's I don't know, man. I couldn't even make it, and that's bad if I couldn't make it 10 minutes into a film. So I will say that. And the other thing I watched this week, and this is only because my daughter wanted me to sit down and watch it with her, was Wicked. And man,
oh yeah,
and people can, oh man, bring on the Wicked fans and explain to me why y'all thought this was good. Okay, it's long, it's boring. The music's not memorable. Maybe it's more memorable in the Broadway play. Now, the last 20 minutes, fantastic. I will give it that credit. The last 20 minutes is fucking great. I will say that with full credit. The last 20 minutes is really good filmmaking, and it actually had me like, okay. And then it's to be continued. The last 20 minutes was enough to make me, okay, I'll watch part 2 to see what happens. Because if they can continue off those last 20 minutes, great. Okay. But the first 2 hours of the film are slow. Basically, they're taking 2 hours to tell us that the Wicked Witch was bullied, and that's why she's all of a sudden a villain. Instead, you could have done that in 30 minutes. Ariana Grande makes you want to punch her. She can't act. She's looks anorexic and sickly. The girl plays a Wicked Witch. She's fine. I had no problem. I had no problem with her. The green screen acting in this film is god awful. There are literally people looking weird directions, and you notice it around because the whole film is green screen, right? And you can see people like looking different directions. Are all supposed to be looking the same direction. You literally can see it in the film. Matt was like, "What? How is this Best Picture nominated?" It's bizarre to me. The CGI is typical of any film. It goes from good to bad, which is pretty typical unless you're James Cameron or, Lucasfilm or, whatever.
Yeah.
Or MCU, stuff like that. But so I won't knock the CGI too much, but just the acting is not great for most of the actors in the film, except for the main lead, the Wicked Witch. I thought she was good. And Jeff Goldblum, of course, he's always fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
The music's just not memorable. I feel like it could have been really shortened down to a tighter, maybe hour and 45 minute, hour and 50-minute film. Maybe it would have been a little bit better. It's just like, man, it boggled my mind that people were crying in theaters over this thing. I'm like, I guess it has its fans and, whatever, but like, you're crying over this. I mean, their friendship wasn't even like that spectacular. It felt, I think their friendship between the Wicked Witch and the Good Witch felt forced because of Ariana Grande. She's so like not good in the movie that it made me not believe in the friendship. Like if she had been better, I would have bought into the friendship. But I was like, she's kind of a bitch, her character, in some ways. So yeah, man, it's just like, if it's your thing, fine. I appreciate musicals. I love The Greatest Showman. I like Into the Heights. There's been some good and recent musicals the last few years. But this one, like I said, the last 20 minutes, spectacular filmmaking. The rest of it, just like, and it's from the director of Into the Heights, strangely. And I love Into the Heights. That's a great musical. Which, Matt, you still have not seen that. Considering you have an Hispanic family, you need to watch that movie because I think you'll appreciate a lot of the culture stuff in it. I think Jackie would love that movie too. It's a good film. And the chick who plays Vanessa, I'll smoke her. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, but yeah, man. My recommendation is to stay away from Wicked unless you're really bored, or just fast forward to the last 30 minutes and you're good. That's all you need to watch. But a couple of things I checked out this week. Hellboy, The Crooked Man.
I'm glad you clarified that one for me.
Yeah.
Because I passed by it and I was like, maybe, but I opted for, a couple different films, which I'll get into.
No, you can go ahead, man. Hopefully you watched something a little better than I did.
Yeah. So I remember seeing the trailer for this movie and then forgetting about it. And I passed by it on Netflix, and that is The Electric State, which is directed by the Russo brothers. It stars I can't think of his name. He was
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah, but Giancarlo Esposito. He's good in the film. Obviously, he is Giancarlo, and he does his thing. Chris Pratt, kind of like a Star-Lord type. Again,
he's the same hero in every movie he's a hero in.
Right.
I mean, even Owen in Jurassic Park, his character, even though I did like the Tomorrow War, he's like the same hero character in every movie.
He really is. Millie Bobby Brown's in the film, and she does an okay job. It doesn't, it's okay. I thought it would be better. I think kind of like you with the last 20 minutes are great. There's a huge fight at the end, and it's great. But I feel like to get there, it's just kind of slow. It's interesting, at times. But it's not a great movie. It's okay. Give it like a C+.
Did you see their other Netflix movie, The Gray Man?
I did, and I like that one better.
Yeah, I like The Gray Man. I thought it was pretty cool.
Now I could be, maybe I'm just, maybe someone, thinks that it's better, but because it's like I've seen mixed reviews. Some people are like, "Oh, this is great," and then some people are like, kind of fell flat for me.
Well, it's like Rebel Moon, man.
Yeah.
Some people hated Rebel Moon. Some people loved it. I kind of enjoyed the Rebel Moon movies. I was fine with them. I like crazy, otherworldly sci-fi, so I kind of like Rebel Moon.
Yeah. So the Electric State, what it's about is, basically the robots. It's like it's kind of like what the Watchmen does to the 70s. It's like, what if there's an alternate, but with the 90s? So what if there's an alternate version of the 90s where robotics became a thing, and robots became self-aware and didn't want to work for humans, and they start turning on humans. So they have a war, and at first the humans are losing, but then they are able to use a device that helps them use drones remotely. So they fight robots with robots, and that's how they end up winning the war. All the robots are secluded into this like zone, this robot zone, and they're not supposed to come out. They're supposed to stay there. Well, one does. Millie Bobby Brown loses her brother, who's very smart, and he comes back as this robot, this like lemon head looking robot. And, she's trying to uncover the mystery of what happened to him, where his body is, and how she can, recover her brother. So it's got, a solid story. And there's some good action. I just feel like, maybe Millie wasn't the best for that role. Maybe Haley Steinfeld would have been better. But I feel like Millie, is, just maybe the go-to for Netflix or something, kind of like, trying to think of his name now. Like Tim Burton uses Danny DeVito, or something.
Yeah, where was Steinfeld? She's not in the Doomsday cast, but isn't she apparently have a cameo in Thunderbolts?
She's supposed to be the new Hawk. Well, she's supposed to be Hawk Girl.
Right.
Yeah.
But she wasn't in the Doomsday cast, was she?
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I think she's supposed to appear in Thunderbolts, apparently. So I don't know. I'm sure there'll be a reason for it.
Yeah, gotta be.
I mean, we had people that didn't appear in Infinity War, and then they appeared in Endgame. So
this is true.
Sure it'll all work out. Just random thought there when you said her name.
Yeah. Other than that, I did also watch A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie. I was like, why do I want to say Billy? For some reason, I want to say Billy Joel, but Bob Dylan.
People might hate me for this, but Bob Dylan is a lot like the Beatles for me. Just can't get into him. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the movie's fine, but so go ahead. But yeah, the movie's fine. I can't get into his music.
It's the biopic. It's got the dude in the wheelchair who blew himself up in Batman versus Superman. It's got Edward Norton and
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
However the fuck you say his last name.
Now, because of I think it was Nikki Glaser.
Paul Atreides.
Yeah. Nikki Glaser made this comment that Chalamet sounds like something that Adam Sandler would blurt out, a Chalamet, or so. And now every time someone says Timothy Chalamet, I imagine Adam Sandler saying it like that, like he wouldn't Billy Madison, something like that. But yeah, I think he's good in the film. And what made me even want to watch it is his acceptance speech, for I forget if it was an Oscar or an Academy Award. I forget what the speech was.
An Oscar and Academy Award are the same thing.
Yeah, sorry, but he was talking about how he tried to channel like some of the greats, like Brando,
It's a James Mangold film. Okay.
Yeah. And it's, it's a solid film. I will say that it's, it's okay. I would rather watch, I'd probably rather watch the James Brown Get On Up biopic.
He did not win an Oscar, so he must have been some award he won.
It must have been something else. Maybe he won.
He won something.
People's Choice.
He won an Astro Award and some other stuff. So yeah. But Mangold also made Walk the Line, which was a really good music biopic. So
Oh, there's a Johnny Cash is in this film. Now, I guess they collaborated a few times. And they knew each other.
I'm sure.
Which I did not. I did not try to look that up to see if that was true. I'm assuming it is.
Even though I don't like Dylan's music, I might give it a shot. I generally like music biopics. I know I really enjoyed One Love last year. I recently purchased it on my Vudu account because it was $5. I really enjoyed that movie. So I generally like biopics of musicians.
Yeah, but Chalamet, it's a different range for him, for sure. It's different than watching Dune. It's different than watch. Man, what else have I seen with Chalamet in it?
I think he's the new Tom
Wonka.
Hanks. Yeah, I think
Wonka.
he's like the modern Tom Hanks, man. He can do comedy, he can do action, sci-fi,
Yeah,
a lot of ways.
that's fair.
Getting all these Oscar nominations, and he doesn't have the wins Tom Hanks has yet, but I think it's coming.
I think he could get there.
I mean, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's in that same level as those guys as far as his range.
Yeah, no, I support that. I can see that with him. And what's funny is at first he just looked like some little, scrawny, femboy looking thing whenever I first saw him. And now I'm just like, this guy's great. This guy can act. He can do action. He can do
You call that fucking man a femboy?
Yeah. He did.
Apologies to any listeners out there that might be femboys.
But if that's what you are, that's what you are. But I did not like.
And I got shit for an apparent Schindler's List joke that I didn't make one time. If you said fucking femboy.
But whenever I first saw him as Paul Atreides in the first film, now I hadn't read any Dune books. I didn't realize he was, very, youngish and, very gentle looking, and so I kind of made assumptions and presumptions about him before he even got to utter a word. But you know what? Dune, at the end of Dune 2, he's a badass.
I love those fucking movies.
Yeah, dude.
But I mean, I like the second one a lot more than the first one, but I appreciate the first one more. Now that the second one came out. Mm-hmm. See, and it was nominated for Best Picture, and I was fine with both of those being nominated. Better than fucking Wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Academy. I haven't forgiven the Academy for, almost 30 years since fucking Saving Private Ryan lost. So whatever,
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Which we talked about last week's episode. Is why I will forever hate Shakespeare in Love. All right, well.
Oh, lastly, Daredevil. I watched the latest episode of Daredevil.
I got to get caught up on that, man. Yeah. I heard the new episode kind of redeems some of the pitfalls of the last couple. Like I heard it, the first two are real good. I heard it kind of fell off. I heard the new episode kind of brings it back.
Yes.
I've heard that. So I've kept up with some things they have said, but I haven't read any spoilers because I am going to sit down and watch it. I just haven't. I met my oldest wanted to get caught up so he could watch with me. I told him, better get caught up because I'm going to start it without you if you don't get caught up soon.
Yep. So leave them in the dust.
That's right. But cool, man. All right. Well, let's after we made femboy jokes and things, let's talk a film that has a lot to do about equality and equal rights and things like that. And which isn't the reason we chose this movie. We chose this movie because Major League Baseball kicked off their season this week across the nation. And every now and then we like to do a sports movie. We've done a few over the years. Mm-hmm. And this is a movie that actually we were going to do last year. And we, for some reason, didn't. I don't know why we scrapped it.
Did we do Field of Dreams?
No, it's been a few years since we did Field of Dreams. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do this last year. I don't even remember if we did we did 8 Man Out instead last year.
Oh, yeah.
I think because it was a fan pick from someone who listens to the show. So that ended up being our baseball movie last year, which is fine. We appreciate our fans and movies they want to hear us talk about. So we scrapped this until this year. And that is the story of Jacki Robinson, directed by Brian Heglin. Yeah.
Heglin. Yeah.
Who has done a few. He did Miracle, which is one of the great sports movies ever made. That's one that I've actually written down a few times on the show. Eventually, we're going to cover Miracle. Such a great fucking movie.
Yes.
And that is 42, the story of Jacki Robinson, starring Chadwick Boseman, who we briefly mentioned on the show as the Black Panther just a few minutes ago, in one of his non-Marvel roles. And people aren't always familiar with Chadwick because they know him from the Marvel films, but he did do quite a few films. We just talked about Get On Up, briefly, a movie that he was in as James Brown, and he definitely is an actor that, as we know, was gone too soon. And this is one of those movies that shows his range. He wasn't just a superhero, as he portrays the late great icon Jacki Robinson. And for anyone who out there is sleeping under some driftwood and is unfamiliar, Jacki Robinson is the first Major League Baseball player of color to go into the big leagues. and break the color barrier on April 15th, 1947, when he made his major league debut. And this is a movie that tells the story of his rookie season and very briefly his minor league season and his getting chosen by Howard Frick, who is the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, or Brooklyn Dodgers, sorry, played quite well by Harrison Ford. And you almost don't recognize Harrison Ford in this role as he's under some old man makeup. I mean, he is old now, but when this movie came out, they made him look a little bit older. And Harrison's great in this. This is one of those movies that's actually very well acted across the board for almost everyone that's in it. And it tells the story of that first rookie season, the trials and tribulations that he went with, and the reasons why Frick chose Jackie as the first baseball player of color to break the Major League Baseball player barrier. And it tells that story. And then that's basically the summary of this. It's very inspiring. It's very dramatic. It hits all the notes for what a dramatic biopic should be, and we don't need to touch on all that. But this is one of those that does it so well because it tells such a good story. It tells a moving story. You watch this and you walk away from this movie and you feel inspired and you feel good about what you watch and you realize the importance of what Jackie Robinson did. And Jackie Robinson, to me, I'm a lifelong baseball fan. And to me, I obviously didn't grow up in this era. I wasn't born until way after Jackie debuted, but I feel that Jackie's contributions to the game and the things he did are one of the most important things any human being has done in the history of the world. And that's just how I strongly believe it. Because let me paint a picture for you people. In post World War II, people were looking for escapism. They were looking to get away from all the horrors of everything that just happened. And so Major League Baseball was at its peak. People were going to games. They were filling stadiums. They were looking for things to get their lives back in order. Okay. But yet we were still under segregation. Black people weren't allowed to use the same restrooms as us, or eat in the same restaurant, or sit in the same place in the ballparks. They had some freedoms at this point. They were allowed to go to games and they were allowed to do things, obviously, because they were free. They were free men and women, but we had segregation. And they had their own leagues. They had the Negro League. So that's where they were allowed to play baseball. They weren't allowed to play in the major leagues, right? And Howard Frick decided to do this because he felt, honestly, and this is a true story, it was the right thing to do. He just had no other reasoning. Jackie would ask him throughout the movie, "Why'd you do it?" And Jackie said, "Are you really that's the reason?" And Howard Frick's like, "Yes, it's because it's the right thing to do because the world is changing." And Howard Frick is also, he deserves a lot of credit too, along with Jackie, for being a brave baseball owner and man to do what he did. And the film tells that story, and it does a good job of focusing on the relationship of Jackie and Frick and how they got through all this. And to go back real quick and why think about the things that Jackie went through, the hatred and the bigotry from traveling to towns, people yelling curse words at him, calling him names, other players, other coaches, and to brave all that storm and to get through what he did. And not only that, but to have a remarkable career. He wins Rookie of the Year. He wins MVP. He's a World Series winner. He's a Hall of Famer, people. He could have easily been the first black player and played for a couple of years and had a memorable career. But that's not what he did. He defied all odds. It's absolutely incredible. And from there, as they say, the rest is history. As we know today in 2025, we have black athletes across the world in all sports. And it all started with Jackie. Now, history does show that there was another black player in the late 1800s in the league, but it was not considered the modern era, and it was different times. Baseball wasn't as big. It was not the media coverage, everything, and he did that. I don't have the player's name in front of me, but he does get credit in the history books. But Jackie's the one that truly changed things. And Matt, you'd seen this movie before this week, right? And
yes.
And what do you overall? I mean, I think this film does a great job of telling the story. I feel like there never needs to be. I don't want that to sound right. There never needs to be another Jackie Robinson film because this one tells the story. But yet, I know there will be more because rightfully so. There deserves to be Jackie's story told.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the 42 version of Jackie Robinson?
No, I like it. That's a simple way to sum it up. But it's cool how they made it happen. How the owner, kind of orchestrated this and tried to be, the first one to change things and, showcase Jacki and his talents. And, he was, the selection process, trying to pick someone that was young, that had the talent. He was batting 350. He was also decorated soldier in the Army, served his country. And, that, probably was, looked at as something that would resonate with everybody. And it did. But it was tough, obviously, with him onboarding on, and there was people that didn't want to be in the same room with him, and the owner's like, you're gonna have, basically, you can play here, or you can play somewhere else. He sent one of his guys to Pittsburgh,
because that was like the dog crap of the MLB back then.
Yeah,
it's like today's, what's the modern version of that today?
The Browns,
Marlins.
Yeah.
Browns
Sorry. Yeah, the Browns of football. Yeah, the Marlins, I guess. And then the coaching, it's like, the coach was, an adulterer, and it's like the
but he was like, if a
ate him
zebra
up.
can play baseball, I'm going to put him out there. And he didn't care if the player was black or not.
No,
Coach,
and that's why he was, and I think that's why the league wanted him out, and he had to go to a former player to help him get the team corralled and out there. And Jacki, had to endure physical pain too. It's like the pitcher that hit him in the head, which I think that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of things that are accurate, like the relationship between Harrison's Ford character and Jacki. A lot of those quotes are directly taken from history. And it's cool that he had kind of like a mentor, a father type of person in that owner, that was like, I want you to have the strength and, to not do it, to not fight back, to take it and, and keep on going. And it was a struggle for him because of his temperament that they alluded to. But he did it, and he rallied everybody around him. It seems like that's seems like a lot of this, desegregation stuff, has always been accompanied in sports films. Remember the Titans is probably another good one. You show people around you that you can play some hard-nosed football, you can smack the ball out of the field. For some reason it breaks down barriers. Right. and it definitely, seemed to work in this film, the way they depicted fans. There was a gentleman that was working on a light in the film, and he walks up to Jacki and he's like, "Oh, great. What's going to happen now?" And Jackie's with his wife, am I getting accosted? And the guy's like, "Hey man, a lot of us are looking for you to make good, man.
Right.
If you've got the stuff, you should have the opportunity." And, and that's the cool part. It's got a great message. And, thank God there were people out there like that.
I like too that the film wasn't afraid. This film is almost 9-10 years old now, and but it wasn't afraid to shy away from the religious aspects of it too. Like Howard Frick was a very religious man, saying Judas Priest was about the most cursing he ever did. And he also said, like, he told Jacki, he goes, "Hey, when we go to heaven, God don't care if we're black or white. He's going to judge us all the same." And he goes, "And when I go there, I want to be judged because I did the right thing." And I think that this movie, you tend to get a lot of movies nowadays that will shy away from religious stuff, but this movie does not do that. It tells the story the way it was told. I think that was important. But yeah, you're right. The players start right around. The special effects work in this film is very good too. Also, it makes it look like it takes place in the times. And I want to correct myself real quick. Hegland did not direct Miracle for some reason. I thought he did. But no, he's only done a few films actually. And when this movie came out, it came out at the right time too. In 2016, it came out, I think, in February or so, and it did very well at the box office. It caught on with audiences as word of mouth got out that this was a very good baseball film. And I think the story of Jacki can appeal to everyone, as of that's lived in modern times throughout the life, because what he did is so important. I can't imagine watching, and some of this is like the Phillies manager, played by Alan Tudyk, who is normally known for comedy and stuff, and he is a racist bigot in this movie, and that really happened. That's how that manager was. He was racist and bigot, and he would even into the next season when Roy Campanella came up to the Dodgers. Also, that's why he ended up getting fired after the 1948 season, because the world was changing, and that manager did not want to change. He was still being a bigot even after the fact. After he took the picture with Jackie and stuff like that, he couldn't change. And it's unfortunate that that's how a lot of the North was. And one thing this movie doesn't do is, when Jackie was in the minor leagues, a lot of the minor leagues toured the South, right? They stayed Southern. Mm-hmm. He was very popular. They were selling out minor league stadiums. His minor league tour was very popular. People were excited about having a black player in the minor leagues, and he did very well. And this movie only touches on that a little bit, but he, just think about the things he had to do. His team going to a hotel room, and the hotel will tell them they can't stay there because they have a black player. Stopping, just little things like that.
Stopping to eat, getting gas, using the bathroom.
Yes. And this movie makes me reflect on our freedoms we have today and the things that we take for granted a lot of times. And that things were just this drastically different 75 years ago in the world, that people have to deal with this stuff. And that's why he is such a hero to a lot of people. And, and for what he did to stand against tyranny and bigotry and racism and all that, to be a strong man. And I don't ever like when someone says, well, if it wasn't Jackie, it would have been someone else. That doesn't fucking matter, man. It's Jackie's one who did it. And I've heard that argument as why, I've actually read that. There are people that say, well, it would have been someone else. Whatever does it make? It's like, it doesn't matter,
Yeah, it still doesn't take away from what he did,
Right. And it's phenomenal, man. And Chadwick does such a great job in this film, bringing Jackie to life. The actress, I can't remember her name, who plays Rachel Robinson. And, his wife, Rachel Robinson, is still alive. She still does. Yeah, she still does a lot for. I believe so, unless she recently passed. I don't know. I'd have to check. But I know she will. Huh?
Oh, Nicole Beery is.
Okay. She's very good at the film. And she does such a good job portraying Rachel Robinson. Yeah, Rachel Robinson's still alive. She was born in 1922, and she is still alive. She's 102, lives in Los Angeles, California.
Damn.
Wow. That's incredible. Of course, Jackie died back in 1972. I do believe, if I remember right, Jackie had cancer, if I remember, and that's why he passed, or a heart problem or something like that, if I remember correctly. I should know this. I know so much about his story, but sometimes I get different celebrities confused as to who passed from what.
Oh, heart disease and diabetes.
Yeah, that's right. It was heart disease. Yeah, 'cause he was diabetic throughout his playing career.
He was 53.
53. Yeah, but just a remarkable life and a remarkable story, man. And it's easy for sports movies to be inspiring and to tell. And that's the great thing about sports is because they write these amazing stories. But I think there are some stories that transcend the most inspiring stories. And I think the short list of those movies would be Miracle, 42, Remember the Titans. I think those are some of those really great inspiring stories that tell really important stories. And then there's other really good stories that the fantastical, like Field of Dreams, the coming of age, like The Sandlot, that also tell really good stories, or modern tales like Friday Night Lights, just tell really good stories. And it's something about sports and that our obsession with it. And this is why, and there's no sport, and Moneyball hits it right on the nail. It's hard not to be romantic about baseball, because there's no other sport like baseball that has the dramatics that any other sport has. You can love football and you can love basketball, but there's no drama in those sports like there is in baseball. Bottom of the ninth, 2 men on, 2 outs, World Series. There's no drama like it. You're sitting on the edge of your seat, watching every pitch, and that's just baseball. And it starts with great stories like Jackie's, and Jackie's might be the most important of those stories. How do you feel about Jackie Robinson as a man, his legacy?
No,
I
just the
mean,
fact that
being that you're a family of, minority culture, and not so much now, because I don't believe in that term anymore. I hate that term minority in
no,
today's age, but
yeah.
but for where you came from, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like, and my grandparents grew up in the 50s, and they were never the type to say, we're minorities, anything like that.
People are people. Yeah.
They wanted their children to grow up American because they believed in America and what the American dream was, and that's why they came here. But yeah, when I used to hear stories from my grandmother about how she would go to different banks, and they were trying to get a loan for a home, and they couldn't discriminate. Well, they couldn't stop them from applying, but as soon as they get to the end, they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, we don't sell to Mexicans," and they would, they have to go. They went from place to place, and it wasn't until the man who employed my grandmother, he was Jewish. He was able to get them a home loan, and they moved into a neighborhood. And as soon as they moved in, all the white people moved out, and the neighborhood started becoming more diverse after that. But that's part of history. And people of different nationality, different race had to deal with a lot of different challenges. And I'm glad that those barriers are taken down. And Jacki, it seemed like not only did he have that, he was a little bit of a hothead, it seemed like, and so he had to hone in his emotions and his frustrations, and you could feel it. You can feel that portrayal whenever he's going back and forth, mentally with him, but verbally with Alan Tudyk's character. Yeah. And you can just feel that he is about to just explode. But his wife's like, whispering under her breath, it's like, just look at me, just focus on me. Don't.
Yeah. And interesting is Tudyk and Chadwick Boseman, who became friends later on, they stayed away from each other on set to make it a little bit more intense, and it was very hard for Tudyk to do. He wanted to challenge himself in a role because he's used to playing comedians, and he had been, doing Firefly and Serenity, and which was kind of a comedic character in Wash. And, so it was difficult for him to play that role too, but he did it to challenge himself. And he said he did not enjoy it at all. In fact, he apologized a lot for using the words he had to use. And, Chadwick would tell him, "Hey, it's not a problem. It's just a role. I understand."
Yeah, it's just a movie.
And, but man, and then just watching this, it also makes me continue to miss Chadwick, because what a talent he was. And I'm very grateful that we have his films that he has given us to remember him by. And he gave us a great one in this film, which tells a great, very important story. And I will argue with anyone that I think Jacki is one of the most important men to ever live, one of the most important baseball players of all time, without a doubt, and deserves all the accolades he ever get. And for anyone who doesn't know, the number 42 is the only number retired throughout all of Major League Baseball. Every team cannot use it. The final players who started using it were in 2014, when Mariano Rivera of the Yankees was the last player to retire using that number. Because the number was retired back in 2007 or 8 officially, but players that had 42 were allowed to continue to use it until they chose to retire. Some players gave it up right away. Some were throughout their career to honor Jacki. And on April 15th, every year in baseball, here in just a couple weeks from now, every player in Major League Baseball wears number 42. So there's some truth to Pee Wee Reese's saying that, hey, maybe one day we'll all wear number 42, which he actually really did say to Jacki. Remarkable human being, remarkable story, and a really great film. Really a really well done movie. So very good stuff. And it's so kind of, I almost feel wrong for doing this before we get out of here, but we no sub features today. But we're going to completely do a 180 next week with a movie that is. We go from a very important story and a very important person to a movie that is full of debauchery and sin, and sin. In the words of our good friend of the show, Rob, tentacle porn. And it's literally has tentacle. This movie literally has tentacle porn in it. And we are going to cover an anime film called next week that is from the director of Ninja Scroll, and you can watch this on Tubi and Amazon Prime. And that is a film called Wicked City. Have you ever seen this, Matt?
Nope.
Okay,
this will be
so
a first.
Do not let the kids be in the room. Trust me on this. It is, it's definitely not a kid-friendly film. But again, if you want to watch along with us, and again, I haven't been putting the trailers on the show because the program I was using to pull the audio hasn't been working, but maybe one day they'll come back. So we're trying to preview next week's episode the best we can. But it is Wicked City next week, and watch along on Amazon Prime or on Tubi with us if you want, and check that out. So until then, though, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. We thank you as always for listening to the show. We do appreciate it as we move on forward throughout the summer with more episodes to come. But until then, this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there
and do it.